What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Josh Button podcast. Today I have Steve Hordinski here. Check him out. He's online all over the place. He has his own academy, Catharo Training Center, Jiu-Jitsu on the Go, where you're getting all the techniques you need to learn, Forge of Unity, raising suicide awareness. Steve, thank you for joining me. I'm going to pick your brain on all that stuff.
All right, Josh. Hey, thanks for having me, brother. I'm happy to be here. I love talking to good people, like-minded people about jiu-jitsu and helping people and building shit. So
Well,
perfect.
like I was telling you right before we started, you probably have forgot more jiu-jitsu than I've learned.
Got my black belt in 2009, January 17th, 2009. Opened my school in 2010. Also was promoting people a little differently, so we got our degrees a little bit faster than normal. So I was a second degree. And at that point, I think I was just like, let's see here, 2009, 14. I think I promoted my black belt. My first black belts were my dad and Nick Mays, Professor Nick Mays. And it was, yeah, I had already been in business for a little bit. So it was like 2014 or
14?
15, we promoted him. Yeah.
Okay, so I got the years mixed up.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of those because sometimes those, with those old pictures, I was like, when did I do this? When did I do that? I have to look at my dad's certificate to tell you the exact year, but yeah, but my dad's been training a long time, 20 something years now. So he's a third degree black belt.
Rad.
Yeah.
Life on the mats, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Been sharing it with my dad for the last what, 16, we're about to be 16 years since we've been in business.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, staying on the mats, like we were also saying before we started recording, is probably keeping us sane in the world as it is now. As upside down as many things are, at least we have that consistent foundation. We know what to expect there, and it serves many purposes for all of us for sure.
Yeah. Josh, are you a vet too? Tell me a
No,
little bit about you.
no, I'm not actually. I did the opposite. I went into male modeling and acting 20 something years ago, and I did that for a
Oh,
couple
that's
decades
pretty
before
cool.
before I ever found jujitsu. And I consider myself very fortunate for finding jujitsu.
Heck yeah, man. Well, that's awesome. That's a unique pathway. An actor? Oh man.
It was definitely a little different, but
Yeah.
so
Oh well.
let's go back to your white belt days.
Okay.
What were you like on the mats? What actually inspired you to get there in the first place? And, when did it stop becoming a hobby and become part of who you are?
So interesting story. I've always been in martial arts. As a kid, I would always imitate martial arts, like Bruce Lee, the movies. I would try to move like that. I was already pretty, I guess, a gifted athlete, or I had athleticism because of, just as a kid, I was a skateboarder, I was a martial artist, I climbed things. I mean, I was always outdoors, just like working out, doing something. And I was just active, and that's kind of, I think that generation, we played outside more than the generation today. So we are always out there doing shit, getting in trouble, maybe doing things that probably could have got me hurt, like climbing rocks without ropes and like getting stuck there, like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. We gotta figure this out, So like I was that kind of kid. And I started martial arts officially, Kempo karate with Jim Tyndall. He was the reason we talked a little bit about, we'll get to it probably here in this conversation. Forge Unity was kind of inspired by him. But as a kid, I was training Kempo karate under him. And the UFC pops up, it's 1993, and we're seeing this new style of fighting, this ground fighting, and of course, belief like, oh, that's not going to work against me. And my Kempo instructor at the time was like, I'm going to teach you how to beat that. I was like, all right, cool. Well, my thought was like, all right, we'll talk about grappling. So the only thing we have out here is wrestling. So I immediately signed up for the wrestling team. Not to be a wrestler, not to go to a state, not to be a state champ, just to know how to do takedowns and grapple. And I was like, well, I'm going to incorporate this in my training. And that's what I did. So I started wrestling because we didn't have jujitsu. And then I started bringing it into our sparring sessions at the, where we train Kempo. And it was in a garage. We had a carpet floor, a garage, and I was still getting after it. I was still closing the distance when I started that, and I was like, "All right, this is cool." Fast forward, went in the military. I'd already achieved my black belt in Kempo karate. I was a pretty dedicated student, and I get out there to Hawaii, and I'm like, I'm looking for where to continue my training, what to study, and I tried different things, but nothing really appealed to me. And then one day, underway, I was training, lifting weights, all the stuff that I normally do. They tell me, "Hey, there's some guys down the tank deck." I was on the USS Frederick. It was an amphib, LST 1184, and we were a training ship. So we would bring out, we call them the weekend warriors. We bring out the weekend warriors, and we'd let these reservists come and train with us, and we work with the Marines. And so we're always doing these joint, uh, you know, uh, activities, joint mission activities. We worked with the Army sometimes, always different branches of service, especially when we're out there and we deployed. So we had happened to be on deployment. We're on a carrot cruise, 1997. And my buddies were saying, "Hey, there's guys downstairs. They're fighting each other and stuff like that. That looks like kind of up your alley." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go check it out. Do you know who it is? Oh, it's that guy over there." So I go over to this Marine. I was like, "Hey, I hear you guys are training to tank that. Can I join you guys?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah." And I'm thinking to myself, "I'm gonna beat this dude up. He's small. There's no way. There's no way. All right, I want to see what it's about. I want to test myself." I go down there and I see that what they're doing. I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And I actually said, "All right, let me try." My buddy, Phil Cardella, he was a Marine at the time. He teaches jujitsu. We lifelong jujitsu now. He has a school in Florida. He's had multiple academies, and him and I are, we're still buddies. We're still friends. We still talk all the time, and he comes out, he'll do seminars. And so this dude beats my ass really bad. And in my opinion, I mean, it wasn't like he did anything crazy. He barely broke a sweat, and he handled me, and I'm like, "This guy could kill me. He could probably kill me with his bare hands, man. He didn't even try." I was like, "Let me try that again." I mean, I was already sold, but I just wanted to experience it again. I didn't need to be, like, tested again. Let me test it again. After the first time, I'm like, "I wanna learn. Teach me." And so, I can remember the first class, it was an arm drag to the back to an RNC, and I could do it right away. Like, click like that. I've been doing martial arts my whole life. I've been a skateboarder, so I knew how my body worked. I knew I had good body awareness and good athleticism because of that. And I was strong though. So that was probably my weakness is that I was too strong so I could get away with not having the best technique. I could kind of gun through things. But as a beginner at white belt, I was intrigued. I was strong, and I just told myself, "Hey, if there's people out here that know this, I gotta learn this because felt at that moment not learning it was not an option because knowing that this kind of power in a combat art, the effectiveness in a combat art was out there, I'd be stupid not to train because, it was a no-brainer. I was like, "I'm doing this. I gotta do it."
Yeah.
This dude just whooped my ass. I had a high, trying to, take on that kind of warrior ethos, being military and stuff like that. Uh, I felt like there was really no choice. And there was a conflict there. I was like, at first, I was like, I don't know, man. Because I invested so much time into my other martial arts to see how ineffective it was. I think that that was a big thing. You had two type of people that time when or in that day that were exposed to jujitsu would be like, I'm gonna pretend that didn't happen and go back to doing what I was doing. Or you're like, shit, I gotta do this. And then you have even further in that, how do I incorporate? I don't want to be time wasted. This is a different aspect of the game. How do we complement each other? I was that guy. So I trained jujitsu to get better at the ground in case it happened, and then it just becoming easy to take people to the ground. So I was like, well, this is the way for me. So I used all my striking, everything there was to be good at not getting taken down, but also to get me close to take someone down. That was now the way my mind processed everything. And so I was just curious, man. I thought this was the coolest thing ever. I was like, this is a real superpower. Let me see how many people I could choke out. I went back to all my friends, because we used to wrestle on the ship. Like we'd have we call them birthing wars, where like you'd have deck division against engineering, so we get after it a little bit. And I would go to all my friends that were like kind of get the best of me, they're like wrestlers and stuff. I was like, hey, come here and try that wrestling shit on me now. Cross collar choke, So that to me was like coolest thing. So I fell in love with it immediately.
So now are you at your gym? You are just doing jujitsu specifically, right? Or do you have
Um,
striking and
we
kempo as
have
well?
striking. I coach MMA.
You do.
I don't the standing portion of like striking, I appreciate it. I see that it's an art. The striking coach that I work with, Jake Ramos, he's very good. So like if I was learning striking, I would learn from him because like his is very technique and very good strategy. I feel like he's one of the best guys I've seen. And but it doesn't appeal. It's not something I'm into. I like the grappling. I like being in close like that. I like it because uh beat someone without pushing them to submit someone when they're fully engaged. It's an intellectual kind of battle. Like you're battling someone's mind and body. For me, that's more appealing because I like the strategy, I like the technique, and I like the science behind jiu-jitsu. And I feel like, sure, there's a science behind striking and wrestling, but it's not the science that interests me. I like the science of grappling. And I like the idea of putting grappling against a striker, grappling against a wrestler, grappling against whatever I'm trying to be good at. I'm going to be a grappler first nowadays.
Yeah, I tell a bunch of the kids in the gym, I really respect it. I like it, but I'm a little too old to be getting hit in the head several times, even with big gloves. I'm not into the idea of CTE for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, like, unless like, if I was back then, I was into it, so I didn't mind. I would spar with anybody who was getting ready for MMA fights. I would be in there. I would be, punching them as much as they were punching me, because I didn't mind. For me, it was all about like training to be a weapon, not necessarily to be an athlete. I was trained to be a weapon. That's how I viewed myself, and that's how I grew up, that's the kid I was, that's the adult I became, but I'm not into it because of the same reason. There's no purpose. I'm not trying to fight. I don't want to do that. That is not the lifestyle I want to live. And at the time, well, even now, it's hard for a fighter to make a living, unless they're top tier. And to get there, what is the sacrifice? I see what these guys go through. I made my sacrifices in the military, with my time and my energy and my effort to be, in the Navy and be a Navy diver. I made my sacrifices. I made my sacrifices as a competitor to be a high level competitor. I competed at a high level. I didn't win world titles, but I beat world champions and I did a lot of the big tournaments there, and I threw myself in those not to be a guy who won medals, only to see how effective the art was for me to the point where I could say, you know what? I did this at the level that tells me that, all right, this is pretty good. I'm going to throw my life into this now. And that's when I decided to be a teacher and teach the art because I wanted to do it all the time. And here's another thing. When I was younger too, like trying to be in a relationship, being serious about something like this, it was hard because like training was first. And so in the past, like every relationship I was in, it seemed like it always became an issue. So I was like, well, here's one way to make it not an issue. Make it my job, make it my career. Nobody can tell me not to do jiu-jitsu now because it's all I do for a living. So I put how I pay for everything, how I live my life, So I made my passion, not my hobby, I made my passion my my way of life.
How about your training? I mean, obviously you can't train like a MMA professional or somebody who is trying to be that. As a teacher, when did your training change and what process have you put into it now that's different?
Well, so I never wanted to be a fighter, but I definitely always wanted to be the best I could at jujitsu, at grappling, because it's a fun game. It's a science to me. Nowadays, I'm just better at it.
Yeah.
Like the amount of athleticism that I'll put into training is just enough for me to get that workout. I'll find that balance to where I'm like, okay, I feel pretty good here. As I get older, I notice that like maybe I can push myself too hard, and then afterwards I'm like, "Oh, fuck. What the hell happened? Oh, I'm 50, that's why." But, like, I don't train hard all the time anymore. I'm selective. I'll roll with the people that I enjoy rolling with, not the people that I need that are trying to test me, because I don't really give a shit about being tested anymore. If you wanna test me, you should have tested me when I was in my 20s and 30s, and I would have you would fucking hated it, you know? Because 'cause I'm still pretty miserable to train with when I wanna be. I still have that in me because I've invested so much time on the mat. I've been doing this nonstop. I took, let's say, total time off. I've taken off maybe a year or two in 30 years, almost damn near 30 years of training. I took total time off. If you count like injuries and shit, like about 2 years, maybe a little bit more, but not much. The rest of the time has been weekly training, 5 to 6 days a week. I'm on the mat.
Yeah.
I teach a lot of classes. I teach Monday through Thursday. I teach Saturday. I also coach him. I'm back to coaching MMA at Genesis. So I have a Wednesday day that I'm there. I take Friday, for things like this. I do private lessons. I work with competitors. I just anything jujitsu, but um, I would say that training wise, I'm training every day, but full on training for myself 2 to 3 times a week, maybe two. Maybe 2. The rest of the time, I'm training for my students so they can feel what it's like to roll with me. I'm available for them more, so I try to save my roles for my students so that they can feel that because I think that's important because I remember, the experiences I had on Helson's mat back in the day is we had a bunch of world champions, a bunch of high level competitors, and just a bunch of monsters, honestly. And to feel the pressure, and the way a world champion handles you is completely different than a guy who's just big and strong or good. It's another level. And so I feel like you can't really duplicate that unless you could feel that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so the only way to pass down that knowledge is you gotta take your guys and smash them a little bit, and if they smash you, they smash you. So I roll with my higher belts, not all the time. Like, some of my black belts, I'll look at 'em like, you wanna go today?" Like, "Yeah, we haven't done that in a minute." And afterwards, they're like, "That was good, that was hard."
But that's also why we
It's
don't
like
do
it's
it
like
every
when it
day.
happens, it's like, it matches up, it's like, "You feeling it today?" "Yeah." "Alright, let's go, man." And then afterwards, maybe we're a little bit, "Well, that was tough." But it's always good because, like, there's a level that you go technical tough, roll technical tough. It's like I try to meet people where they're at, and I try to stay right here. I don't try to go all the way up here. I try, all right, we're right here. Let's play right here. Let's play in this area. I like that. That's what I call technical tough. But if someone's going way up, it's like, all right, that's kind of a recipe now for me for injuries, and that's just kind of like, all right, man, listen, I ain't trying to roll like that. If you want to roll tough but keep it technical, we could go. But if you want to try to prove something, go roll with one of my guys. Go roll with one of my black belts. One of my younger guys that they're happy to do that for you. Because that's not my purpose anymore. My purpose is as a teacher. I'm there to teach. I'm there to lead. I'm there to learn as well. Learn to be a better teacher. I learn from my students all the time, watching them do things. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Let me try that. You know. So
Did
I
well,
think that's a good balance. For me.
did you have any difficulty making that transition? Did it come naturally to you, or did you actually have to, like, encounter something where you said, "Hey, this is natural."
Injuries, injuries, surgeries. I've been pretty fortunate. I've figured out how to not get hurt. I know what it feels like before the injury happens. And I know that there's certain things like locking into power struggles with weird movements that could happen. Not so good. So injuries made me look at it differently. But honestly, I'm a big, the Budokan mobility work that I learned from Cameron Shane. I'm big into that because that made my body strong for jiu-jitsu, for grappling. Like, lifting weights is one thing, but, like, we don't those muscles are good for, like, the braking mechanics, the pushing, holding people off, but, like, jiu-jitsu is different, it's not bodybuilding, and it's not like playing football either, so it's like there's a lot more moving around. So being more like a gymnast is probably more beneficial than being a strong weightlifter, you know?
It's
And
interesting
so
that it's interesting that you said that because Budokan, I've missed the opportunity to do these seminars a couple times, and I was really frustrated by it. But I have seen some of the stuff online and wondered, is it is it way more beneficial? I mean, should more midlife athletes be looking to do something like that as opposed to
well,
overweight training?
I think I mean, I look, I still hit the weights, but it's very specific. I have a coach. I only see him once a week because I'm doing Budokan every day. I'm teaching every day, and I have my own workouts. I like to do pull-ups. I like to do dips. You know, I've been wrestling because my elbow took really a lot of abuse when I did that pull-ups for suicide awareness. I did that for like almost a whole like 8 months, 9 months, pull-ups every day or something like that. I don't remember how long, but it was a lot. And I was smoked out. I still haven't been in my doing my pull-ups or anything because my elbow was so hurt after that. But so I still do some things, but I do sport specific. I have a coach so I don't hurt myself. I will say this. I think Budokan is more than that. I think Budokan should be taught to anybody who starts jiu-jitsu. Because, you know, every sport has a playbook or they run plays. They simulate what they're gonna do in the game, right? Most martial arts have what? Katas, right? You go to Shotokan karate, you're gonna learn katas. You go to Taekwondo, you're gonna learn katas. Most of the arts have katas or movement sequences that they do. Boxing, Thai boxing, you know, they all have things that they do. What does jiu-jitsu have?
Front
Running in
rolls
a
and back rolls.
circle, doing a jumping jack, you know, doing some karaokes. Yeah, they're beneficial to a degree, but I mean, how many upper belts do that? Upper belts stop doing that because it's like, well, I'll just fucking roll slow and warm up. I used to be like that. And that works really good if you do that, but like the reason why I didn't see the logic in warm-ups is because I don't need a push-up for jiu-jitsu. I don't need jumping jacks for jiu-jitsu. I don't need to run. I used to say, I don't run from my problems. I face them. Let's go. You know, like I don't see the point in running, you know, like I don't cardio, but I'll get my cardio rolling. You know, like I'll just roll hard, you know, I'll just roll around, you know, roll the rounds, you know. Well, but what Budokan is different because Budokan is warms up your body. This also could be done to restore your body. It could be done to build muscle. It could be done to build flexibility, mobility, all for the purpose of grappling. Because the movements you do in Budokan, you do in Jiu-Jitsu. There isn't a, like, when I teach from Budokan methodology to grappling, to Jiu-Jitsu. Because the number one thing that you see across the board with students is like, how do I connect these moves? I mean, think about it, like how do you all right, that's cool. I know how to do an armbar, but I don't even know how to get there to do an armbar. How do I recover the guard? How do I get to the guard? How do I maintain the guard? You know, like what happens when I lose the guard? Like there's a lot of things that are jujitsu is not a bunch of fucking techniques you just stack up. So there needs to be something to connect it. Well, the reason why I see like as a coach, I see athletes that do well versus athletes that don't is because of athletic ability. Think about it. Wrestlers do really well because they spend a lot of their time learning how to tumble and roll and do dynamic movements and be explosive. Like they invest a lot in their athleticism. Okay. The hobbyist who comes in, never did anything, doesn't. How do you bring them to that level?
Right.
There isn't a way. There isn't. I know it for a fact because I have former students that used to train with me that are higher belts that move the same way they did when they trained with me. And even though they are trained, they still move the same way. They haven't changed, you know? So for me, it comes down to be a better mover, better jujitsu. And if you start to move better and you start moving into your in range development, you're building strength there too. So you're going to be stronger in these awkward in ranges. And scrambles, let's put it this way, older guys, we're not trying to scramble because we have the wrong impression what a scramble is. A scramble to us is like a chaotic movement with it where it just however it lands. That's a scramble. But in Budokan, you learn how to move, which could be classified as a scramble, but it's the same way you move. And the way you move, you've rehearsed. And the way you moved, you built strength and integrity around those shapes because you do them all the time. So your body gets tougher. It gets more durable for grappling. It recovers better. You're expressing your body fully instead of only hunched over like jujitsu. Most jujitsu guys, we're going to be like this all the time. When are you going to be out? Right. And what I like about the Budokan mobility and also the playfulness of it is that, like, I do more stuff that looks risky to people. Like, oh, why are you exposing your back? Well, two reasons. One, I can because I've invested time in there. So to me, it's weaponized movement. Two, you're going to fucking be there at some point in time. So why don't you put some fucking time into it instead of, like, I get hate sometimes when I throw some shit out like, well, you're giving your back. You would do that against a good guy. Yeah, I would. You know why? Because it's the way I do it. Like, it works for me. Why? I've invested time in areas that people aren't. You know? So I think Budokan Jiu-Jitsu, at first when I talked with Cameron about this, he said, "What do you think about this?" I didn't know at first because I was a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu guy, learning Budokan. But after studying it and being really deep into it now, I agree with it. Because if I teach someone how to move first, teaching them Jiu-Jitsu is way better. Coaching someone who understands Budokan terminology is a way better, it is easier to coach when they're out there competing. And it's terminology that the other team doesn't understand yet. When
For
I
the
tell someone to forward step, they're like, they know what it is. The other coach doesn't know what that is, and neither does the other athlete. But if I say, "Hey, trap his leg," oh shit, okay, he's gonna trap my leg. I better move it.
Right. So for the practitioners, the people that have never experienced Budokan or seen any of the movements online, comparing it to something like animal flow or calisthenics, how much more in depth is it? How much more is it to learn? And how long does it take somebody to adopt a good mobility routine that's built in Budokan?
Well, it's more than the animal movements.
Hmm.
It's more than calisthenics because it is a movement martial art. There's precision and awareness. Like, you could do the same spiral over and over again and learn something new every time. Like, just the way you present your weight to the mat, the way that you move, the way you do a step a little bit differently, like, everything matters, everything changes. So that's what I like about Budokan. It made me realize that everything I do matters. Everything. The way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you grip someone, everything matters and everything has an effect, cause and effect, right? And so I would say that nothing against animal movement, nothing against gymnastic and natural, nothing against any of these movement based ideas that are to help jujitsu guys. They're not martial. They're not martial art or martial movement art, right? That's the difference. And it's interesting because these movements are not easy to get to where they look right, to where they flow right, to where they have that fluidity, that balance, as Cameron would say, elegance, having that power and that elegance, having those two together. Like, can you be powerful, but can it look good? Can it flow well? Right? Because if you're flowing in a way that's like the most efficient way to move and you're powerful there, I mean, it teaches you a lot about rotational power. It teaches you a lot about creating, torque. And, if you think about jujitsu, it's all spirals. Like, the way you do an arm bar is a spiral. The way you do a choke's a twist. Everything's twisting in that spinal area. You always twist, you always move, and always did. And so I think that is the difference. But it's a martial art, and it's movement art, if you will, and it has that precision, it has that Japanese kind of flow. And I mean, if you look up, I think Budokan, the way it's spelled is, I know it. I think I just looked it up. You have to look it up, but it has a very specific meaning when you look at it. And if you look at who Cameron is, you'd be like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's very martial art. It's very martial art. That's why I like it. And it takes dedication, man. Like, I see my students, we implemented in our school right away. When I went to the camp, I started seeing it. It helped me recover from a back injury. I was like, okay, we're gonna work this. So I've been doing it at my academy for, like, what, over probably like over 2 years, and I saw a big change in my students within about 6 months. Less injuries, but better movers. Seeing the guy with no athletic ability turn into a guy that moves like a guy who's competed, who spent some time there, like, I'm not saying world class level, but pretty damn good
Yeah.
for what it came. And then to see the improvement in movement and flexibility in people that were broken, that couldn't move, that couldn't go upside down or invert. Now to see them move, they're like they're having more fun inside their body. You know, they're able to enjoy and express their body more. Because I mean, think about it, like that's all we're doing
Yeah.
in life is like having a strong body, you get more out of life, hands down, right? Strong body, able to climb things, walk things, go distances, you are going to get more experience out of life. So if your body's strong, you're going to get more out of jiu-jitsu.
So
So what are you doing for your body?
do you teach
Yeah.
Budokan online as well?
Not online, but I teach it at my school. I have classes that are specifically dedicated to just Budokan, and but my methodology and the way I teach every day is Budokan Jiu-Jitsu. I teach it conceptually. I create the games. I will not subscribe to the ecological thing because I don't like when people rebrand something that's been around forever. And nothing defense, Craig Sars, go fuck yourself with that one. All right, you listen. We got another guy that did something like that. Billy Blanks. All right, tell me he didn't take shadow boxing and turn it into
Taibo?
Taibo.
Yeah.
All right, man. We all shadow box. Come on, give me a fucking break. Nothing against the guy. He's doing great. I agree with the drilling, but I don't think you should discard. And I was just talking to Charles about this. You know, I think a lot of like, we agree with this training, but what we don't agree with is discarding all the other stuff that you did that worked to get people to that level.
So when you say you agree with the drilling, do you eliminate drilling altogether or?
No, no, I agree with it. I agree with that. We do the dynamic drill. We've always called it dynamic drilling. We never called it ecological constraints or whatever
Right,
they
right,
call
right,
it.
right. Constraint-based training.
Oh, we don't want. Listen, man, I'm not using
That
like not
terminology is
subscribe to that. It's already been around. Like shit. I've had a school. I've been doing jiu-jitsu 30 years. This is not something fucking new. You know what I mean? Like, this is how you get good is you do, all right, hey, we're gonna play inside this space. I'm gonna do this, you do that. Cool? All right. Oh, fuck, that broke. Let's fix it. Bro, that's how we did jujitsu. Give me a fucking break.
yeah, that's basically all they're doing in Danaher's classes for the most part for under different terminology as well. Most of the
Yeah, yeah, I mean, bro, he did the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I agree with Danner. He goes, like, I know that that's the way to train because that's the way we did it. He did it at Hinzo school. I did it at Helson. Helson and Hinzo were like this.
we did
Okay?
we
Hinzo
did
would
the
come
same
in.
thing where I'm at.
Yeah. And what's your lineage? What are you?
I'm under Wagner Hocha.
Okay, yeah, yeah, exactly, bro. All the good ones, all the good teams, what are they doing?
Yeah, same thing.
They're doing it. They're doing it
Specific
because
training,
you,
specific
yeah,
training, and tons of it, and then getting your rounds.
and then drilling that constantly. Hey, let's add a little more resistance. Hey, let's do this now, guys. You're gonna grab here now. Okay, we're gonna deal with this situation, and you get better at dealing with situations.
So, do you get other people into your Budokan classes that aren't necessarily into rolling and sparring and into the martial arts of jujitsu? And yeah,
Yes,
I would imagine so.
yes, I get people that that's all they want to do. You know, because you know, it's an interesting, thing, you know, it appeals to you because it still has the elements that you like, I was a skateboarder, right? So, I don't know, skateboarding, what was appealing to me is, like, I could learn a trick, get good at it, and when I would pull it off with style, I'd be like, "Ooh, that was nice." Jiu-jitsu gave me that too, right? And I was like, "Ooh, I got that arm bar, I got that sweep I've been working on, that was nice," you know? Budokan's the same thing. Oh, man, I got that movement smooth. Look how smooth that was smooth. That was nice, right? So it still feeds that reward. It lights up that reward center in your brain where you're like, man, that was rewarding. That was fun. That was good. My body feels good. It's a total body workout. And the movements, man, when you get going with it, I'm telling you, I'm getting down the other end of the mat and I'm like, whew, that pattern was hard. And I'll look at my students. I was like, "Is it just me getting older, or was that hard?" No, yeah, that was hard. So it's a beast, man. I can't say enough good things about it. I like it. Honestly, it's more important to me than jujitsu is the movement work I do now because that's what's going to keep me in the game. You know what I mean? That and food. What you eat?
All right, so let's move into food. You know what? Actually, we can't right away. The whole premise of the show is keeping people on the mats. It's midlife practitioners. And if you feel that strongly about Budokan, that's what you're recommending to people more than anything and everything else then.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll tell you this. I'm in Colorado. There's a lot of jujitsu schools here. Typically, you don't. Typically, I'm not doing seminars in Colorado. I'm doing seminars other places. But I've been getting a lot of seminars in Colorado because people want to learn it. They want to see it. And there's a reason why. These instructors are feeling what I felt: pain, injuries, can't train the way I used to. What are you doing, bro? That's different. I've always been a little different. I always kept myself in shape, but like I'm telling you, like I have improved drastically. I'm dealing with a back injury right now. I just been working too much. But my back injuries would stop me, like stop me from being able to train, stop me from being able to teach. I know it's there, but I'll go in there and I'll warm up. And when I warm up, it feels okay. And warm up and then I cool down. So I'll do the spirals to warm up my whole back, I have a whole spinal chain warm up that I do. And what's interesting about these movements is like we can, all right, I had this shoulder was frozen or not frozen, but I couldn't elevate it over my head. And taking off my rash guard was like, I had to pull it, take it off one side, pull it down one because just the stretch of that was just seeming like I couldn't do it. It just hurt too much. And that went away. The clickiness in my shoulder, the popping in my shoulders, whenever I would do a spiral B, which is like the slide portion of it where you're sliding across and you're doing your spirals. Like every time I hear pop, 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 nothing now. My knee, my left knee, I would squat deep all the way down and I would get this knocking feeling. It didn't hurt, but I was like, that can't be good. It keeps knocking every time I try to squat out of a deep squat. I hear click, click, click. It doesn't happen there, but it's still there. In certain angles, I can feel it, but it doesn't happen all the time now. So that's actually good. But how did that improve? You're building muscle around it. And I think that what's interesting about Budokan is that it puts you in these positions where you're using the mat to reset joints, in my opinion. You're doing these movements which are creating a little space between the discs when you're doing the spiral. I feel like you're stretching out. You're expressing yourself in ways you don't normally because most of our life is hunched over. I don't know. It just fixes things,
You're
bro.
off.
Like yeah, it just fixes things. Like all that stuff is like I still always have a back problem, but is it gonna stop me from doing what I love? Is my quality of life gonna go down? No, not really. But it doesn't mean it couldn't. I mean, you could talk to me tomorrow. I could have something seriously happen. I might be laid up, but I haven't had any really bad problems. And I've still had situations where things got fucked up, but I'm able to recover much faster and not really feel slowed down at 50 years old. 50 years old, I don't know if I should be rolling the way I am. And everybody's like, you need to slow down. Well, I will when I have to, but I don't feel like I do. I'm not out there trying to win anything. I ain't there competing anymore. But what I am doing is I'm enjoying myself every time I'm on the mat. When I'm teaching my students, when I'm rolling, when I'm training my students. And when I do a class, I'm not the guy that says, all right, my students, like when I demonstrate, they're usually giving me resistance. Like we're doing like we're taking one idea, all right, resistance, and then I'm showing them how the technique works with it. So it's not like I'm not training. I'm just getting those kind of training in more specific, and then my roles in. But like I'm not feeling the pain. I'm not afraid to. Um, I feel confident now in my body. Like I can go inverted. I'm not worried about it. I can handle a lot more. I'm like, dang man, I wish I would have fucking found this when I was a competitor.
Yeah.
Holy crap! Can you imagine like. So I give it to my students. My kids, I got 2 girls that I work with, they're young. I will tell you, I believe that they're if they stick with jujitsu, you're gonna see them. You're gonna see them because they are learning how to move, and they are good movers with the Budokan, and they understand it, and they're 12 and like 11 and 12 or 12 and 13, and they outmove most of the adults that have been doing, but they're better movers than me. I'm like, holy crap, man, these kids, it comes out in their jujitsu. They're all over the place, but they know where they're at. That's true. They're inverted upside down, but they're perfectly aware of that because they spend time there inside of these movements. So they understand what it looks like to be upside down, what it looks like to be in this shape, what it looks like to transition to these shapes, and being able to fluidly get from your standing position all the way to your back and back up. That could be very useful.
And probably save them a lot of injuries that me and you had.
Yeah, that's the plan. Everybody, everybody wants to do. If you love this art, you're gonna want to stay in it the rest of your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is another thing, man. When I first did that seminar with Cameron, he started the seminar in a way that just kind of hit you. You're like, oh shit, you're right. He said, "How many of you love jujitsu?" I don't know exact words he said, but like I'm just giving you. Everybody raise their hand. How many are in your 20s? Hands are up. How many in your 30s, 40s, 50s? When you start getting in the 40s and 50s, hands are going down. 60s, nobody. 70s, nobody. 80s, nobody. And it's like, what happens? Everybody's saying they want to do it the rest of their life, but if that's the case, how come we don't have at least a couple or at least a few? My dad's 75. He's on the mat. He loves it. It's his part. I mean, we started the academy together, so he has to be there. But how many 75 years old in pain are going to show up just to do that? Not many, right? And so when you look at that, you ask yourself, well, why is this not? Why are people not doing this the rest of their life? Is because they can't. Because the way they do it now doesn't work when you're older. You got to give more. You got to learn. You got to be crafty. You got to kind of learn to yield. Like I roll with Grandmaster Elio Gracie when he was 86 years old. Can you believe in an 86? I would never have expected that Grandmaster at 86 years old would roll with me. He did. And I started doing dumb shit too. Like I started being a dumbass blue belt. I'm like, oh man, this is frustrating. I can't do shit to this guy. So naturally, my progression goes a little bit up, and then of course I get corrected. I'm like, I was told that, look, man, slow down. You're young. You're a competitor. I was in my 20s. I was strong. I was 195 pounds. I was built like a shit brick house, man. If you anybody knows me, I've been in shape my whole life, and I was fucking big back then. I remember when Grandmaster El Gracie was 86, and I started using it, but still, he was whooping my ass. Like I know I was told to slow down, and that if I use power, I could beat him. But I didn't feel like I could get anywhere with him. I was like so impressed. And so they're like, invest in your defense, play in bad spots. A lot of injuries are happening when someone is aggressively trying to pass your guard and you are resisting, resisting, resisting. Instead of, hey, open the door,
Yeah.
let them pass so you can get somewhere else. Like this guy really is beating on the door here. Rather than break the door off the hinges, let me open the door, let you get to where you want, and I'm gonna slip to your back.
Yep.
Let me getting behind people is good because they're not as powerful anymore, you know?
Yeah,
So
it it all changed for me when I started just kind of acquiescing and going, I'm going to be working from a bad position and let's see how that goes.
yeah, man, you have to. Injuries suck, man. I hate seeing my students get hurt. I hate seeing people get hurt. I especially it's one of the most disheartening times I can recall is like a student that loves jujitsu that has to quit because of the injuries. And I had one of my brown belts had to do that. It was so sad, and I could hear how frustrated he was because I tried telling him, I was like, "Let's try and do something else." I can't, professor. I'm done, and I
Yeah,
never
that's
heard
tough.
from him again. And it wasn't and he loves jujitsu, he loved it, but you're on that note too, you gotta take some accountability. If people are rolling with you this way, you gotta ask yourself, "Why?" If this is happening to you got if this is a common thing, it's you, not the training partners. That's what people need to understand. It's like, if you're constantly getting hurt, it's you, not the training partners. Because you gotta do something like, "Alright, why am I getting hurt?" Well, maybe I'm, like, trying to relive the glory years and I'm not tapping, or I'm resisting too much, or I'm trying to fight for my life here. Because jujitsu in the beginning feels like you're fighting for your life.
Absolutely. So moving into the nutrition, are you advising a midlife grappler to stay on the mats with their nutrition in mind?
Take that Gracie diet and look at that and do some kind of version of that. Fruits, vegetables, try to keep the inflammation down. Don't eat a lot of sugars. Stay away from processed crap. Look, do your shopping, buy fucking organic. Just do it. I know it might not matter, but like, I mean, I eat organic. I think that there's some truth. I'm pretty careful on the brands that I go, and you don't know if it, I mean, you just do the best you can. But like, I don't eat fast food. I don't eat fake shit. I stay away from it. I don't eat a lot of sugars. I fast. I haven't eaten breakfast yet or anything, so sometimes I just wait until when my body tells me I'm hungry. I try to go 8 hours between meals so that your stomach is empty, so that it can clean itself. I do lots of recovery work. I do steam. I got a steam room at my school. I wish it was a dry sauna. Maybe one day I'll convert it, but
I love
we
those.
got steam rooms. So yeah, so I'll go in the steam room, probably good for me, with breathing. I have asthma, so I've always had that. I just had to work around it, and I got good at hiding it in the military and stuff, so I could do all the stuff I did. Listen to your body. Don't train when it don't when you're done, you're done. Because there's times when I've been injured, done, I was done. But definitely, keep the inflammation down, not find ways to knock it out, and, I have red light therapy I do. I got a place right next to my school. I'll jump in there sometimes. I get body work done once a month, but I don't have to see a chiropractor anymore. That's one thing I took off. I don't see chiropractor. I don't get needles. I'm not on TRT. I'm not on anything. I just all natural. I do take supplementation, but it's all stuff that's, like, organic and natural shit. It's not like I don't like needles anyways, even though I got all the tattoos, but I still don't care enough for it. I don't want to be on something that I got to stay on for a long time. I'm not saying anybody, if that works for other people, do it. Whatever works for you, have a process. I'm just telling you, like, I'm not that I wouldn't be that dedicated, honestly. That sounds like an inconvenience to me. I don't even think that sounds fun. I'd rather just take my supplements, eat well, and just train and then compensate for as you lose your strength and all those attributes, make sure your technique's going up. So I follow pretty gluten. I took gluten out of my diet as much as I can. Basically, anything is inflammation. I have vibration plates at my frequency plates and stuff at my school, so I jump on those. That's good for waking up everything. It's good for injuries, but it's also good to it dumps your lymphatic system, the same as like jumping. Jumping is good for that too. So like, I'm just picking up little bits of things that help me. Uh, meditation is part of it too, because I don't think the inflammation just comes from the food. I think it comes from the stress that we do with when we have cortisol spikes because we're worried about shit that don't matter. So fucking manage this right here. That gray area between your ears. Invest some time in knowing who you are, why you react to things you do, and how to not react. Keep yourself peaceful. That's what protect your peace is about.
That's a
That
been
would
a
be
main that's been a mainstay for myself, and I scream it from the mountaintops with everybody in the world. It's like we're all stressed out. We've all got like a stress threshold that we cannot overdo, and we need to manage it, especially in the modern world as we know it.
one thing. I think it's a lot of mental too, man. Like when your mind shifts here, everything else starts to change. You start seeing opportunities for growth rather than evidence of failure.
Absolutely.
So I think that's super important. One thing I started doing is for me, it's about like, I try to be loyal. I don't really quit on people. I don't try to leave people if I don't have to. And I think that's because when I was a kid, my mom left, So my mom left and then she died. So that abandonment stuff, I don't do that to people. So sometimes as an instructor, we invest in our students and they become like family. And they become really knowing each other. And then it's like, and they just all of a sudden they turn on you, leave, and you're like, I thought we were friends. I thought this meant something. And so I realized that like I do that, but not everybody's wired like me. Not everybody had the experience. I won't abandon people. I try not to because I know what it felt like. So I'm pretty fucking loyal. It took a long time for me to leave my former team with Helson. It took forever because like unless you get to some no goes with me like disrespect. Don't disrespect family. Don't disrespect my school. Don't be anything like that. If you do something like that, then we have a problem. I'm not going to associate with you. But other than that, I'm pretty tolerable about a lot of stuff. I think it comes from there. So what I started realizing is that the way I see a student, they might not see me the same way. Even if they say that, I don't know what their words mean because you realize that maybe you just were never really that close. You thought they were a friend, but they just thought you're just an instructor. And so I think that that's the hard part about jujitsu is because we socialize, we're very social, and we build friendships and things like that. And that's the beauty of it too. But that's also can be the downfall if you don't understand that, right? And it took me a long time to understand. And recently, I started, whenever I would start to feel a less than or a lack of or not good enough or whatever, that negative, my already kind of listening, that internal voice dialogue that tells you shit that ain't real. I stopped listening to that. Start changing the narrative. So what I tell myself now is I go, hey, I said, "No," whenever I get negativity, I'm like, fuck this. I am abundance now. Wealth comes from my teaching. Students come easy. Money stacks. And I'm not saying it'd be about money, but man, having resources to invest in your community, having resources to invest into your academy, to do a better job, to invest into students, to be able to give breaks on students, being able to let, those who need to come there that are worth it. Hey, don't worry about it right now. Just get me when you get better. Get me when you're on your feet, but let's get you on the mat because I know you need it, right? That's what's my new thing now. And that was so helpful because I held a lot of grudges, man. Like I'll hold on to some shit I shouldn't hold on to. I know I shouldn't, but when you can't figure out why it's there or what to do with it, I think you hold on to it. And I think that's the work.
So what did you use to get that philosophy? Was it meditation itself, or did you have some epiphany that led you to it?
Well, I've always been a guy who's been into personal development, and it's because opening up a school, run a school, you kind of get thrown into a leadership type of position, and when you start getting messages of how you help people with their life, but not only that, like you help them like from darkness, getting out of the like bad thoughts, suicide, shit like that, you're like, man, I better take this job a little more seriously because if I'm impacting people on this note, I could also impact them in a negative way. So I just decided that I need to be a better person. So I started reading different books, learn about leadership, learn about how to be a better communicator. I started doing courses. I mean, I did 4 years of education while running a school and everything else and having a busy life, right? I was checked in a seminar or learning additional education for 4 years with a company called Landmark Education, which is all about it has a lot of like Buddhist kind of Hindu type of beliefs as well, but like it's all about like unfucking your mind and your past and understanding how to live powerfully and create a powerful life that you're committed to instead of living by because of your circumstances, right? You live in I choose to live this way because I choose to live this way. I don't choose to live this way because of my circumstances. I'm forced to live this way, so I'll just take this is a little bit better than that other shit. So this is less shittier than the other one. I unsubscribed from that. I said, "How do you want to live, Steve? What do you want your life to be about? And what's your dream? Are you going to do it? Are you afraid? Good, go do it." Right? So I did that course. I read books like I've read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich many times. I've read The Science of Getting Rich by Walter D. Wallace, I think it is. Skinny book. I think I got it right. Yeah. This little book right here. And people get turned off by this kind of stuff. Read the book. Talks about there is a thinking substance from which all things are created from. Permeates, it fills all the voids of the universe. It's a really cool book. And it's like anytime you put a thought into this substance, it manifests, right? And so my whole thing was like, I'm trying to manifest a life. So I need to understand how to do that. And then I read, I still read it. It's called The Kabbalion by the Three Initiates. It's a mindset book, but it talks about like basically like mentalism. The universe is mental and we are the mental creations of the all, meaning the way I translate, we have our existence inside of the mind of God, in the God mind. And that's how we're all connected, right? We live in the mind of God, right? Intelligence, infinite intelligence is what it talks about. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But it has things in there like vibration, polarity, cause and effect, gender. I mean, if you go through it, there's a whole set of principles, but it's like scientific in a way. It's like cause and effect. I mean, who hasn't heard of that? Have you heard of polarity? Have you heard of vibration, rhythm, and all that? These are the principles inside this book that they elaborate on. And so it's like if you take those, that I call it the trilogy, and I got this from a mentor of mine, John Rogers. The trilogy. Let's say that the Kabbalion are all the rules. Okay, this is the let's say the application of the how do I put it? If the Kabbalion are the rules, the Think and Grow Rich is the how-to manual. This is the formula,
Hmm.
right? So that's how I put the trilogy together. And I've been reading those ever since. And I like the book Exponential Organizations, talks about how to 10x your business, leveraging technology, because I'm a technology guy. I leverage it. I've always had a good website. I have an app. I had an app before most people out there had a pretty good app on the market. I just didn't know how to market it because I would pay people to market. So then I went to school and I signed up and spent a bunch of money to learn how to market myself better, which I do all my videos, all my content's my content. I don't hire anybody to do it. I do it myself. Maybe I'll hire someone later on, but like I just started changing my mindset. I started reading books that would help me be better in life. And then um Art of War, read that. I read 48 Laws about I mean, I love strategy. I've always been into history and stuff like that. So that was a cool book. And of course the Bible.
Awesome. All of that kind of stems
The
from
Bible the Bible I need to read more of, but the Bible is definitely part of my learning, and I've got 3 of them here in my office. So, maybe that's a sign I should start cracking that sucker open every day. I pray, I meditate, fasting, prayer. I think that's in the Bible. That's how you keep a healthy body, is prayer and fasting.
yeah, brother. And it all stems from belief in one way or another. I think if you didn't believe in yourself, you wouldn't have pursued all those avenues, all of those different resources. And the Bible's a tough read for most of us, to be honest. So we can always dip
Yeah.
back into it and pick up something.
I think the Bible's meant to be in the moment. You open it when you open it, it's gonna minister to you that way. You're gonna open it to something that you're dealing with. Every time I go to church, it's always like, "Fuck, that message. I think that was for me.
It was intended
Holy
for you
cow."
that day at that time, right?
Yeah, right? And you're like, "Who else is feeling this? Well, all these guys are here too. Are they getting something different?" But, nah, I think listen, this is where, maybe there's growth for me, but I believe in myself first. You gotta have self-belief, man.
Hmm.
You're gonna become something. So just be the something you wanna be, man. You're gonna become something, alright? And I don't think we really look at things the right way, the way we parent and the way society is. It's like, you're supposed to fit into this fucking container. Go to college, fucking do all this shit, right? And that's not how it works. I like what I read. Another guy that I like, Guru. I love his stuff. Guru. I like the way he thinks about things. And one thing that really landed with me, he was talking about like the education of children and how he educated his child. They go to school.
Backwards, right?
First, they develop an identity, and then they start to look at what they're going to do.
Right.
But what he talked about is instead of having a worldly identity, like I want to be a police officer, I want to do this, you limit yourself. Like that puts you in a container that has limitations. So what he was saying is, how about create an identity with the cosmos, like an identity with infinite intelligence, an identity outside of this world. Like that's what you talk about. And I really thought about myself. I was like, wow, imagine if I grew up in a household where I was encouraged to explore instead of, don't do that. Don't do this. You're doing wrong. If you flunked, you failed. Like we're set up to this way. I think one of the best skills I have is I don't fucking watch the news very much. I unplug. I'm in my own fucking world, and I'm happy. I don't really I don't feel like I'm not influenced. Like, I don't get influenced the way that I feel like someone who's watching the news, watching TV, watching the commercials. Like, when I see a commercial, I'm pissed off because I know that's a violation of my fucking privacy. Like, you're trying to advertise to me your bullshit that I don't want.
Or
That's I will look you up if I want. If I'm curious, I'll find you. You know what I'm saying? So I think we're advertised too much. I think we're socially conditioned to be a certain way. And I think anybody who subscribes to it, hey, if that works for you, go ahead and do it. But I don't think it works because otherwise, why would we have so many unhappy people?
yeah, it definitely doesn't work. I think we are all are coming to the understanding that it's brainwashing, it's manipulative, it's conditioning, and slowly but surely, I think we've had these conversations on the mats more lately than ever before, especially after 2020 and the whole COVID thing.
Well, one thing I like about jujitsu, and I feel like a lot of us jujitsu guys, I feel we have a similar idea, but I mean, everybody's kind of rebellious if you're on the mat, in my opinion. I mean, you're fighting each other. Even if you're doing it nicely, even if you're at a gym that is more of a community thing instead of like a martial arts school, you're still fighting each other. So there's still something happening that's very primal, right? And it's scary at first. So the thing that we learn is we learn how to deal with fear because that fear doesn't go away. I will ask you, when you go to the academy, or a new academy? Do you have butterflies in your stomach when you're driving? When you're about to think about as soon as you walk in there, do you get a little nervous, get a little excited? You're like, "Oh, got butterflies." Why? That's an uncomfortable environment you're going into, but you're used to it. So you're like, "I know, I deal with it." I mean, I think that's the same thing. You learn to deal with fear, you learn to process things, and I think you're harder to manipulate when you have confidence like this because your confidence comes from what? Your training, the people you're with, there was a lot of experience there, yeah, for sure. So I think we get better at dealing with our fears because, well, jujitsu is scary at first.
Yeah. You're definitely harder to control once you've found out how resilient you are.
And it's a lot harder for someone to be disrespectful when you're looking at me like, bro, you have no idea how bad I can fuck you up.
I think
You can speak to a room full of 1,000, all these people. That's how I got in over my fear of public speaking. I was like, well, at least I could choke everybody out.
Gordon not long ago was telling somebody that on some podcast about the untrained person and what they're in for when somebody who's trained gets a hold of them, and it's playing with a child.
Man, well, remember your experience. Like, what was your experience? Like, I got manhandled by Phil Cardella, who's much smarter than me. And honestly, I thought I would whoop his ass. Was I surprised? You bet your ass. Did it hurt a little bit, my pride? Oh, yeah. But it hurt. But it was so obvious. I was like, you know what? I got to fucking learn this.
It's liberation from ego.
Yeah, I was fine, and I was hooked ever since, bro. I remember sitting in a hotel room with, Helson after a competition in Ohio, and I mean, we always the competition scene back then, like, Helson was running the biggest competition in the United States at the time because Pan Ams and Worlds, they were still in Brazil. So we had the Arnolds, we had the Helson's Nationals, right? And so we were seeing, like Jeff Monson, Paige Apano, Marcelo Garcia, Saulo Sanji. Everybody was competing in this. Lovato. I fought Lovato as a brown belt. We fought each other. He beat me on points. But I had no idea. I was like, man, this guy just fucking murdered me on these points, man. And I couldn't do anything. He almost choked me out. I got out. I was like, wow,
How's it
that
how's
was
it
tough.
how's it feel knowing he's still competing?
Well, he's also a little bit younger too.
He's got Wagner in like a month.
Hey, I was always after seeing what he did after competing against him and see what he become. I knew that he was an ass kicker, man. When I went against him, I was like, "Oh man, this guy's gonna do something." So I'm proud of him. I mean, I don't really know him. We don't have any like real connection other than like competing against him. But he's an inspiration to all of us. I think that the Americans that started jiu-jitsu because look what he's done. He's still doing it. I'm always gonna be, a fan of him, of his, and Salo Sanji. I love those guys. They were big part of my coming up on the mat. So I was around when I think I was there. So I remember when I competed against him, Lovato, we were in the gi. The next day we did the no gi pro. He won one, I won one, and then the second one I lost. And I think his second match, we didn't fight in that, but I was watching him because I mean he beat me once, so I want to see how he did. And he won. I think he won with Solo. I think he was Solo. Solo beat him, and then all of a sudden they locked in, and then man, and the rest is history, right? Lovato is one of the greatest. He's a legend. He really showed us what's possible, you know, and I always will
Yeah, these guys in their
appreciate that.
these guys in their mid-40s doing it or something else. They're definitely an inspiration.
Well, you know, it helps you know, definitely when you're that age, they're definitely on stuff, you know, definitely on the gear. You got to be on it because I don't think your body can recover like that. And I don't know, I'm not. I mean, it's pretty obvious now. Like everybody, you know, Gordon made it
Yeah.
pretty known when he was acting. I don't agree with that. Because the newer athletes, you know, younger athletes are just gonna do it to get a competitive edge, but I think it has its place. I think if it keeps someone doing what they love and, you know, and they're doing it and they're being responsible about it, hey, go for it. You know, I really, feel like seeing those. This one, it's gonna be a good match, but I'm going with Lovato on this
Yeah. Well,
one.
Wagner,
I have to. It's, like, too close to home, man.
yeah,
I got
Wagner's got a tough match before Lovato. He's got Tackett, Andrew Tackett next week, and then he's got
I
Lovato a couple weeks after that.
I don't know what you think about that. I think Tech is good, but I don't know. I'm going that's a
I
look,
I've seen what he does to every person in the gym,
yeah.
but it's still it's like 25 years.
I think I think he beats him. I also think that Lovato's gonna have a hard time, but I gotta go with Lovato because it's too close to home. You know, I know Saul Asanji. I know Cameron. I talk to Cameron all the time, and I know that's the team. So I gotta go with the guys who are close to me. But I'm excited for that fight. I'm excited for the second one, but I feel like that could be tough. I saw what he did. Man, who is that kid he fought? The kid was disrespectful. He just
Oh yeah. The little black belt
bro,
down here. You disrespected his
that
son
was
Achilles.
brutal. That was brutal, man.
Yeah,
I was like,
that
you
was
should not have been disrespectful to that man.
no, that was
Like that,
a
do not
lesson
be
learned.
disrespectful to that. That's the wrong guy.
Yeah, different levels of aggression when it gets personal, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. But in the end, you know, like he's an OG man, and he's really good, man. I think he has some of the best jujitsu I've seen ever. I know, like he's still doing it, and him and Cyborg. I think I was watching those guys go after it. They're not nice to each other.
No, they scrap. They're best friends, but they scrap.
Bro, bro, I don't know. I look at that. That would kill me, man. I would be broken in half trying to go that hard. But they probably been doing that for long enough. They're used to it.
Yeah, it's built in.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, they know
Achilles.
how to train with each other.
Yeah,
Huh?
now Achilles is in the mix, and I mean he's a youngster, and he moves in ways that you can't really. I can't process him. I watch it, and I'm like, all right, it just doesn't really make sense.
So where are you guys at now?
Hollywood,
Where's the
Florida.
school at?
Hollywood, Florida.
You're in
South
Florida.
Florida.
Yeah, you're up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta get up there, man.
Oh, come through, come train.
Is that fight sports?
Yeah, he's
You
this is in Miami. This is we
okay.
were the affiliate Fight Sports, but it's Wagner Hocha Martial Arts now, and it's in Hollywood.
Hey, do you see that they got that guy up there does Budokan for him? He's one of Cameron's guys. I saw Cameron just did a seminar up at Fight Sports,
I saw that Cameron
and
did
then
the
he's got
seminar.
one of
Yeah, I saw he
what?
did that seminar right after he left. And it was weird. It's just like I got the Instagram post and I go, I can't believe I missed this. So who's
Oh yeah,
who's the other guy? Do you know that does that you said Cameron?
Nelson, I think is his name. I'll have to look on my Instagram, but I know he's one of the Budokan guys there.
I
I
will
know
do
he's part of the Budokan kind of tribe, if you will, and I know he's also a student up there. I think he's a black belt too.
awesome. I'm gonna check it out, especially as highly as you recommend.
I'll find out who he is. I'll send you on Instagram. I'll send you on Instagram. But yeah, I think you should get into him.
I will.
How old are you right now?
47.
Yeah, you better get into it, bro.
Thank you so much for joining me, brother.
Likewise.
We didn't even get to Forge of Unity, but Forge of Unity is new suicide awareness. Catharo Training Center's your gym. Jiu-Jitsu on the go. People need to follow you at Steve Hordinski, and we'll link those other pages in the show notes. One last thing. What is your word for the day for the people?
One word.
No, you one sentence. You leaving us
Well,
on
I
a
could do it in one word: consistency.
beautiful.
That's it, man. The only way you get good at this, you show up. Be consistent. And there's something about being consistent for something, like to show up every day for something. I don't know. There's a lot of power in that. So like showing up for 30 years, almost 30 years consistently for jujitsu. I think that does something. So consistency would be what I would tell people. And then other thing, don't quit.
Yes, sir.
You listen, man. Be bigger than your fucking circumstances. Don't be someone who folds easy under pressure. Don't be someone who quits, man. Unless your body's telling you, unless you're dying here from jujitsu and you're like, I can't do nothing. I get it, man. If there's some things I can't argue with, but if you're just making excuses to be lazy or it's hard or whatever, or you're trying to find reasons to not be there, well, maybe you shouldn't start jujitsu in the first place. That's just my opinion. I don't know quit, so I don't understand it. But if you stay with it, man, it's rewarding.
100%.
It's the best thing I ever did was step on that mat with that guy and to make the decision to run a school. I couldn't imagine the amount of love and passion in my life from jiu-jitsu, the amount of joy I've had, the amount of opportunities that have presented themselves. I mean, I don't even know how to put it into words, man. It's just that fucking good.
Brad. Well, sir, thank you very much.
For sure, brother.
All
We'll
right.
do it again.
Yeah, definitely. All right. You guys have a good day.